you, Chairman Duncan, and thank you, Secretary Granholm, for being here and for sharing your thoughts with us today. As we have heard from several folks today, the legislation that we passed in the last Congress has been historic and transformational, and is really important in investing in technologies that are going to power our future while reducing our emissions and helping us address our climate goals and achieve them. And we have already seen the market respond, in addition to what we're seeing in terms of investments from the government. We're seeing, I think, $242 billion of new clean energy investments have already been announced. We are certainly seeing that in Houston, and we are seeing some of the challenges as well. And so I want to follow up on some of the questions that you were just discussing with Mr. Peters, specifically around permitting reform, and drill down a little bit. I really appreciated your testimony about how to address some of the challenges that we see, and it's certainly something that I hear from my constituents. In one area in particular I wanted to ask you about, we've seen exploding demand for carbon capture, utilization, and storage. The Houston Carbon Capture Storage Alliance was recently formed to really take to advance what is one of, I think, the most the biggest CCUS opportunities in the world. The collection of energy companies, organizations, academia, and institutions and experts are working together so that the region can store 100 million metric tons of carbon per year by 2040. So this is really an incredible opportunity, and the work that DOE has done up to this point has made this possible. But there is still work to do, as you have already testified. And I think one of the challenges we see is that while the technological capabilities exist and the funding to deploy the technology is included in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, there are still barriers to a functioning ecosystem, and it is primarily relating to permitting, how we build the infrastructure to do this, to transport and store the carbon, and also permitting Class 6 wells is hindered by these long regulatory timelines that you were discussing. And so while these aren't the primary jurisdiction of the Department of Energy, I understand, I do think the department has a role in convening the stakeholders and working together with other agencies to really advance a whole of government approach to ensuring success for CCUS. So I would love it if you could talk for a minute about what steps you've taken to work with EPA and other relevant agencies to really drive a whole of government approach to addressing these challenges, in particular when it comes to CCUS.
Yeah, we are in constant contact with EPA about this, because this whole effort to try to sequester is not going to work unless you have a place for it to be sequestered in. And less on EPA, but more for our Loan Programs Office, we have the ability now to finance the pipelines to be able to move the CO2 as well, and hydrogen as well. So we have to do all of it. We've got to make sure we have the acceptance as well, which obviously there is acceptance, in Texas, in Houston area. We have to make sure that we are bringing along the community as we gain that acceptance. We have to make sure we can safely sequester, and we have to make sure we can transport. All of that infrastructure is necessary, and now we have the tools to be able to help industry get there. But the permitting side and the government side of this has got to be addressed, and we have to move with greater speed. And I hope, everybody keeps talking about it, right, left, White House, so I'm hopeful that we can all agree that we need to do this and compromise to get that done.
Well, thank you. I hope so too, and I appreciate your commitment to doing that, and I think you really serve in such an important capacity as a convener here, and I know the interest is sincere on our side of the aisle, and it's certainly something I hear about every day when I talk to my constituents about the challenges and really the opportunities that are in front of us. With that in mind, I want to switch gears a little bit and follow up on a question, touch on something that Mr. Pallone mentioned in his opening remarks. I agree that the department's use of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve over the last year has been very important in bringing down the cost of gasoline. Last year, President Biden announced that the administration was targeting a price range of roughly $67 to $72 per barrel of crude to refill the SPR, and that's a $20 per barrel profit. So I understand that the department is currently completing long-mandated modernization work on some of the caverns, and that the cavern infrastructure right now is not ready to receive physically some oil. But I want to point out that the oil markets are currently backward dated, and that means that the future prices are lower than the current prices, and oil futures for this fall are currently within the department's target price range for purchase. So I would love to ask, and maybe get the answer in the record, how the DOE can take full advantage of the current low oil prices to refill the SPR, and how, or if any additional authorities are needed from Congress to be able to do so.
No, I think we have the authorities to be able to do it. Right now, in addition to the maintenance that is happening, the life extension program, we're also doing congressionally mandated sales. And that congressionally mandated sale of 26 million barrels will be completed by June. And it's at that point where we will flip the switch and then seek to purchase.